Good morning. Welcome to this year's annual President's State of the University Address and the opening of a new school year at the University of Montana. It's great to see everybody. I hope you had a really productive and relaxing summer. My name is Royce Engstrom. I'm the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. This has been an exciting year at the university, and the new academic year will be just as exciting, every bit as busy, I'm sure, and certainly rewarding. As I have come to know the campus this past year, I'm continually amazed at the quality of our faculty, staff, students, and administration. Behind the doors of every building and within each unit on campus, there are people who are dedicated to helping our students discover their potential and their place in life. And there are people who contribute to the national and international dialogue in their respective areas. As I have told many groups throughout the year, the learning environment at the University of Montana, I think, is among the very best in this country. The combination of the people who work and study here, the wide array of challenging and fascinating programs in and out of the classroom, the support of Missoula and the surrounding community, and the spectacular setting in which we find ourselves, make this a very special place to live and learn. We're all privileged to be a part of this university. So this morning we're here to do several things. We will first call upon the deans and ask them to introduce the new faculty members in their respective colleges and schools. Then we will recognize those faculty members who have achieved the important accomplishment of promotion and tenure in this past year. And then we will hear the President's State of the University Address. Before I introduce the deans, I would like to recognize today's interpreters, Brandy Reinhardt and Amy Davis. Let's give them a hand. So on stage are the academic deans of the university. I'm going to call their names and introduce them, ask them to stand and remain standing until they're all introduced, and then let's recognize them at one time. Then the deans who have new faculty members here will come forward and introduce their new faculty members and let us all get to know them. And you can follow along in the booklet that you have as you entered into the auditorium here today. So let me begin with the introductions. Representing the College of Arts and Sciences, Dean Gerald Fetz. From the School of Business Administration, Dean Larry Gallanchetta. Continuing Education and Summer Programs, Dean Sharon Alexander. The Davidson Honors College, Dean James McCusick. The School of Education, Dean Roberta Evans. And the School of Fine Arts, Interim Dean Stephen Kalm. Representing the College of Forestry and Conservation is newly appointed Associate Provost for Graduate Education, Perry Brown. Representing the College of Health Professions and Biomedical Sciences is Chair of the School of Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation Sciences, Reed Humphrey. The School of Journalism, Dean Peggy Kerr. The School of Law, Dean Edwin Eck. The Mansfield Library, Dean Bonnie Allen. And the College of Technology, Dean Barry Good. So let's give a round of applause to our deans. Dean Fetz, would you come forward and begin the introductions?
Thank you, Provost Engstrom. On behalf of the College of Arts and Sciences, I would like to welcome all of the new faculty who are joining us this year, and especially those who are joining the College of Arts and Sciences. We have a dozen new tenure-track faculty members whom I'm going to introduce this morning, most of whom are here. We're missing a couple because they're still underway on their travels to Missoula or they're already at a conference. We also have, as you'll notice in the program, a number of faculty members who are identified as lecturers. Most of these faculty members have been here as temporary adjuncts for some time, and we were able this past year to transform their positions into more stable, for them and for their programs, lecturers. First of all, I'd like to ask Professor David Bolstad in the Department of Chemistry to stand, and if you'll just hold your applause until they're all on their feet. In the Department of Communication Studies, we have Professor Joel Iverson, joining us also as an assistant professor. In the Division of Biological Sciences, we have lecturer Heather Davis, who is working in our Anatomy and Physiology program. And we have Associate Professor Brett Tobalski, who is coming back home to the University of Montana. In the Department of Economics, we have Assistant Professor Helen Naughton, who is joining us from my alma mater, the University of Oregon. We have lecturer Sean O'Brien in the English department, who is involved with our Film Studies program. Also in the English department, we have lecturer Robert Stubblefield. In the Environmental Studies program, we have our longtime director of the PEAS program, Josh Slotnick, who will now be serving as a lecturer. In geography, we have two longtime adjuncts who will now take the title of lecturer, Udo Fluke and Rick Gratz. Just because they're Germans doesn't mean that's why they got the job. Geosciences department, we have new lecturer Kathleen Harper. In the Department of History, we have an assistant professor, Tobin Shearer, who will be coordinating our African American Studies program. In liberal studies, we have a new assistant professor coming to us from most recently Cairo, where he has been on the faculty of the American University, and that's Brad Clough. In the Department of Mathematical Sciences, we welcome Assistant Professor Ke Norman, who's coming to us from the University of Minnesota. As the new chair and professor of our military science program, we have Lieutenant Colonel Max Carpenter III. In the Department of Philosophy, as an example of hands across the Rhine, she has a PhD, joint PhD from both the French University and the German University. That's Assistant Professor Choisy Lebien. Also in the Department of Philosophy, we were welcoming from Princeton University, Assistant Professor Matthew Stroll. In the Department of Physics and Astronomy, we have another longtime adjunct who is joining us now as a lecturer, and that's Diane Friend in the astronomy program. In the Department of Political Science, we have Assistant Professor Robert Saldin. In psychology, we're welcoming Assistant Professor Jacqueline Kibler. And finally, in the Department of Sociology, we have Assistant Professor Ann Rooks, who will not be joining us until January. But those are the new faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences. Welcome to you all. Thank you.
Good morning. We in the School of Business are excited to introduce a new faculty member, Ron Permioso, assistant professor in the Department of Accounting and Finance. And then we have a new administrative appointment, the director of the Bureau of Business and Economic Research, Pat Barkey. Welcome.
The School of Education welcomes you all to our great university and is pleased today to introduce our new colleagues. First, in the new Department of Communicative Sciences and Disorders, Assistant Professor Jody Klein. Christine Merriman, also Assistant Professor and Director of our clinic. Lucy Hart-Paulson, Assistant Professor. Our phenomenal chairman, who has been here through most of this year, Dr. Al Yanovitz. In the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, coming to teach special education, Morgan Alwell, Assistant Professor. Also in CNI, Social Studies Foundations, Matthew Schertz, Assistant Professor. And in the Department of Health and Human Performance, an Associate Professor came from Appalachia State, Charles Dumke. And finally, in the Division of Education Research Services, we have a new coordinator for our Montana State Schools work, John Fredrickson. Thank you.
Morning. The School of Fine Arts is pleased to welcome you all here today. And it's my pleasure to introduce some dynamic and creative wonderful faculty, 8 that we've hired. From the Department of Art, Kevin Bell, a painter. And also from the Department of Art, Trey Hill in ceramics and sculpture. From the Department of Drama Dance, John DeBoer, acting and speech. And Heidi Eggert, a dance professor. Jerry Hodgin, acting and directing. Ezra LeBanc, and he is acting and movement. Ann Wright, theater history. And from the Department of Music, we have new director of bands, James Smart. Let's all give these wonderful new faculty a big round of applause.
Good morning. On behalf of Dean David Forbes of the College of Health Professions and Biomedical Sciences and the faculty of the college, I'm pleased to introduce 4 new tenure-track faculty members, assistant professors. If you'll rise and remain standing and hold their applause as they have for everyone else. In the college, within the college, in biomedical and pharmaceutical sciences, Josh Lawrence, who comes to us from the University of Wisconsin. In pharmacy practice, Catherine Hale, by way of the University of Washington. And 2 new faculty members in the School of Social Work, Marianne Bowman-Sontag from the University of California, Berkeley, and Danielle Wozniak, who comes to us by way of the University of Connecticut. Those are 4 new faculty members. I'd like you to welcome them to the University of Montana. Thank you.
Good morning. The School of Journalism is very pleased to introduce Jeremy Lurgio, Assistant Professor in Photojournalism.
Good morning. The College of Technology would like to welcome first all new faculty members to the University of Montana. And in particular, in the College of Technology, we're very fortunate to have 3 new members in our Health Professions Department. They're all in nursing. First, I would like to introduce, and please stand and remain standing, Mary Nailson, who is our Director of Nursing. We're very fortunate to have Mary. Mary has over 35 years of experience in the nursing field. Secondly, I'd like to introduce Deneen Jepson. Deneen has a Master of Science in Nursing. This is her first year with us. And Deneen has over 20 years of experience in the nursing field. And the third person who I'd like to please stand is Tammy Dutton. Tammy is also part of our nursing faculty now. She has a Master of Science in Nursing, and Tammy has approximately 15 years of nursing experience, and we're very fortunate to have them, and please let's welcome them all.
Welcome to all of the new folks that are joining the University of Montana. We're delighted to have you with us, and we're so proud that you have chosen the University of Montana to begin or further your academic career. We look forward to meeting each of you as we go through this next academic year. Let's give one more round of applause to all of our new faculty and administrators. We now want to recognize a number of faculty members who have achieved special recognition during the course of this past year through promotion and the tenure process. So as those of you who are in attendance, would you please stand as I read your name, and to the rest of us, let's hold our applause until they're all standing in each group. We will start with the group of faculty members who have been awarded tenure during this past year. Phil Condon, Environmental Studies. Jesse Hay, Biological Sciences. Jesse Johnson, Computer Science. Ulrich Camp, Geography. Scott Miller, Biological Sciences. Adam Nyman, Mathematical Sciences. Yolanda Reimer, Computer Science. Noriko Seguchi, Anthropology, David Shively, Geography, Teresa Sobieschek, Sociology, Bharath Sriraman, Mathematical Sciences, Karen Volkman, English, Stephen Yoshimura, Communication Studies, Scott Woods, Ecosystem and Conservation Sciences, Douglas Allington, Pharmacy Practice, Mark Pershaus, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Elizabeth Putnam, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, David Shepard, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, Scott Douglas, Management and Marketing, Fengru Li, Management and Marketing, David Cody, Music, Valerie Hedquist, Art, Luis Millan, Music, Charles Nichols, Music, and Mark Medvets from Applied Arts and Sciences. Let's give these folks a hand. Congratulations on that achievement of tenure. That's one of the most important decisions a university can make. Now let's look at the promotions, and we'll start with those who were promoted to the rank of full professor. Heather Bruce, English. Deborah Erling, English. Douglas Emlin, Biological Sciences. Clary Loisel, Modern and Classical Languages and Literature. David Moore, English. Christopher Palmer, Chemistry. Scott Samuels, Biological Sciences. Catherine Shanley, Native American Studies. Emily Stone, Mathematical Sciences. Georgia Cobbs, Curriculum and Instruction. Steve Gaskill, Health and Human Performance. Ann Bashinsky, Music. Marianne Bongiorni, Art. Richard Hughes, Media Arts. Catherine Mallory, Art. Margaret Schuberg, Music. Douglas Allington, Pharmacy Practice. Howard Beal, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Douglas Kaufman, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Diana Lurie, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. And the rank of full clinical professor to Jeffrey Rentz, School of Law. Please join me in recognizing these people. Now we'll recognize the faculty members who were promoted to the rank of associate professor. Margaret B.B. Frankenberger, Psychology. Kriya Bruner, Biological Sciences. Brian Cochran, Psychology. Kelly Dixon, Anthropology. Solomon Harar, Mathematical Sciences. Ulrich Kamp, Geography. Scott Miller, Biological Sciences. Christopher Preston, Philosophy. Ona Renner Fahey, Modern and Classical Languages and Literatures. Noriko Seguchi, Anthropology. Daniel Spencer, Environmental Studies. Fengru Li, Management and Marketing. Clayton Looney, Information Systems and Technology. Alessia Karpoka, Drama Dance. David Cody, Music. Luis Millan, Music. Lisa Eby, Ecosystems and Conservation Sciences. Lillian Calderon Garza-Duenas, Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences. Denise Dowling, Radio Television. David Larry Howell, School of Law. Maylin Smith, School of Law. Donna McCrae, Mansfield Library. Join me in recognizing these folks. And we have a few folks who have been promoted to level 2 or level 3 within the College of Technology. If you would please stand. Donald Warden, Health Professions, Respiratory Care, promoted to level 2. Stephen Stiff, Applied Computing and Electronics and Computer Technology, level 3. Linda Strelnick, Health Professions, Surgical Technology, level 3. Congratulations to all of you for those important accomplishments. We certainly appreciate and value what you have done for the university in your careers here. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce President George M. Dennison, who in his 19th year as president of the University of Montana is the longest-serving president of this institution and among the longest-serving presidents of colleges and universities nationwide. President Dennison understands clearly the complex workings of the university, grounded in large measure by his own experiences as a faculty member and a scholar in the discipline of history. As most of you are aware, but for the benefit of those of you new to our community, President Dennison is a product himself of this institution, earning his bachelor's degree with highest honors in history from the University of Montana in 1962. He went on to earn his master's degree from here the next year. He did his PhD work at the University of Washington and began his career in academics as a professor at Colorado State University. He eventually found his way back to the University of Montana in 1990 when he assumed the role as president. Since that time, the university has flourished. Its reputation as a fine undergraduate institution has grown, the graduate program has expanded, and our research productivity has increased dramatically. The university has become a leader in international activity and in service learning, and President Dennison himself has become a leader in those areas. He challenges us continuously, as I'm sure he will do today, toward excellence and toward a greater reputation for the University of Montana. I've learned a great deal from him this past year and truly enjoy his leadership. Please welcome President George M. Dennison.
Well, thank you very much, Royce, and thank all of you. Before I start, I would like, with your permission, to ask your indulgence for a couple of introductions and then a comment or two. We have with us special guests today, the Commissioner of Higher Education, Sheila Stearns, who really doesn't need an introduction, but she's here somewhere. There she is. And a person who's a member of a group that I decided a long time ago was right even when they're wrong. Regent Clayton Christian is here with us today. And now I urge all of you to join me in a moment of silence for a couple of losses that we've suffered at the University of Montana recently, both of whom will be missed very much. Tony Redbuck, who was Associate Vice President of Research and Development, and then former Dean responsible for the facility we're in today, Jim Criley. Join me if you will. Thank you very much. I know you extend your sympathy to the families. There will be memorial services for both on Sunday. I'm sure you've seen the announcements. So, good morning and welcome for another year at the University of Montana, especially those of you who have recently joined us. We think your decision to accept our invitation manifests the same uncommon good sense we demonstrated by asking you. More importantly, we believe you will soon find confirmation that you chose well because you've come to a campus blessed by good people who care a good deal about the students and their own roles as professors, mentors, and scholars. This morning we had an opportunity to recognize and congratulate several of those dedicated people who have earned tenure and promotion. And based on what we know about you, we expect you to settle in nicely and to keep us on track. And we ask no more than the best you can do, knowing that your success will carry the university to a new level of excellence. This year, as mentioned, marks my 19th as a member of the administration and faculty of a fine university, my alma mater. It's changed a good deal since my years as a student in the early 60s, and all for the better, I think. Nonetheless, some of its major attributes remain perennially constant. I came to the university because of the programs and the people responsible for its distinctive character, and I frankly admit, because of its location. I believe the university continues to merit recognition for its attention to students and their achievements, the quality and responsiveness of the faculty and staff, the excellent programs, and the superb surroundings in the Garden City of Montana. I have absolutely no doubt that serving with such an outstanding group in this wonderful setting explains the tendency of faculty and staff to remain in place for a long time, despite our inability to compensate them as their accomplishments warrant. The resultant institutional memory, combined with the creativity they bring to their work and their positions, puts the university in a very good place for responsive, meaningful, and sustainable change in the unending pursuit of excellence. And I can assure you as well, as I do each entering group of students, that nothing compares to changing your status from student to president of such a remarkable institution. During the summer, as I prepared a piece for publication on the history of Montana higher education, I read once again H.G. Merriam's brief work entitled The University of Montana, A History. He wrote it in '69. It was published in '70. He knew the university well, having served, albeit intermittently and in various capacities, from 1919 until his retirement in 1954, when he launched his second career as a writer and editor that ended with his death at age 96 in 1980. Michael P. Malone, former president of Montana State and the premier historian of Montana until his untimely death in 1999, always referred to Merriam as, quote, the Dean of Literary Affairs in Montana. After reviewing the development of the university from 1893 to 1969, Merriam offered the following observation that holds even greater relevance for us today, and I'll quote it. All in all, the outlook for the university is good. In the Clapp days, 1921 to 35, it was ready for consolidation as an undergraduate institution. It remains to be seen if it is now also ready to settle down as a graduate institution. Certainly a healthy growth and expansion in increasing involvement with the life of the state, in the confidence of the state and federal governments in the ability of the faculty, and the sweep of interests within the university harbors. These are clearly evident. The University of Montana, it shall prosper. I'll return to Merriam's theme a little later and explain my comment about its relevance. But first, I have the distinct pleasure to introduce new members of the university's administrative team. Some of them came during the year, and some are not here yet. But this provides an occasion to introduce them to the entire campus community. You heard just a moment ago that Dean Perry Brown, longtime Dean of the College of Forestry and Conservation, has agreed to serve a 2-year appointment as interim associate provost for graduate education. In this role, Perry will provide the expertise and leadership to develop and grow the university's graduate programs, transforming our approach to graduate education and strengthening our status as a graduate institution. Perry stood up before, and we only asked people to stand once during these ceremonies. Dean Jim Birchfield, currently Associate Dean, will serve as Interim Dean of the College of Forestry and Conservation during this period. If Jim's here, I'll ask him to stand and remain standing, please. Chris Comer has accepted our invitation to become the new Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and he will arrive on campus in January 2009. A biologist by training, he comes to us from the University of Illinois in Chicago, where he also served as Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences and a professor of biological sciences. He brings an outstanding record of leadership in teaching, research, and service, and we welcome him to lead the college. Until he arrives, Dean Emeritus Jerry Fetz, who also stood up earlier, will retire, or has retired this past summer, begins now a post-retirement appointment, and he will remain with the college as Dean. Stephen Kalm, Chair of the Department of Music, will serve as Interim Dean of the School of Fine Arts.
while we conduct a national search to replace Shirley Howell, who retired last spring. Steve comes to the role on the nomination of his peers in the school, and he knows the university well. Vernon Grun, former chair of the Department of Biomedical and Pharmaceutical Sciences, has assumed the position as Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Education of the College of Health Professions and Biomedical Sciences. Dr. Grund knows this school very well, he knows the university very well, and his duties will include providing administrative support for the college's interdisciplinary programs, research and graduate, and coordinating the activities to nurture economic development stimulated by those programs. Alan Fugelberg will assume the position as Associate Dean of the College of Technology, an alumnus who earned all three of his degrees from the university and who most recently served as the Marketing and Recruitment Coordinator in Enrollment Services. He reports for duty with the college on the 1st of September 2008. Rob Gannon has joined the Office of Academic Affairs as the Director of Academic Budgets and Personnel. Most of you know him from his prior service as Director of Human Resource Services and Interim Director of Equal Opportunity and Affirmative Action. He brings a strong background and expertise and rich experience that will serve us very well. Associate Professor Kate Stanley, Department of Native American Studies, has a new role as Special Assistant to the Provost to work on with entities across campus to develop a comprehensive strategic plan for Native American programming for incorporation into the academic strategic plan. Jean Loftus has become Assistant Director for Faculty Exchange in the Office of International Programs. She works closely with the International Committee in managing the university's partnerships. Lucy France, formerly a partner with Garlington Lawn and Robinson, specializing in employment law, joined us as Director of Equal Opportunity and Affirmative Action in May. A UM alum and the daughter of Tony Rudbach, who served this university well until his untimely death, Lucy brings an excellent foundation of knowledge and skill combined with contagious enthusiasm for her new role. Becky Garner has joined the Montana Museum of Art and Culture as the Programs and Publication Coordinator. Frederica Hunter, an outstanding alumna of the University of Montana, has returned to campus at the end of July to the position as Director of American Indian Student Services. A successful graduate herself, Frederica comes to her director's role with a depth of understanding of Montana Indians and tribal cultures, personal experience as a student on this campus, and a strongly held commitment to improving educational opportunities for all Montanans. Murray Pierce has the role of Special Assistant for Mentoring Programs to the Vice President for Student Affairs. He took that position in December last year. He will focus his efforts on mentoring the students and fostering social connections on campus and in the community to enhance student success by fostering an intellectually, cultural, and socially diverse educational community and promoting a campus enriched by the contributions and full participation of people from different backgrounds. Arriving this past January from Stillwater, Oklahoma, Jan Madole assumed the position as Director of the Office of Research and Sponsored Programs. She brings over 2 decades of valuable research administrative experience and has earned national acclaim for educational outreach in the profession. Finally, a native educated at Montana State University, Dana Weir joined the executive team of the UM Foundation as the Vice President for Stewardship and Communications. She spent a number of years with the University of Arizona Foundation and brings an exciting level of expertise to the foundation. Please join me in a round of applause as we welcome these people. Thank you. When I spoke last year on this occasion, I stressed the significance of the College Affordability Plan, the CAP, proposed by the governor, endorsed by the Board of Regents, and approved by the Montana legislature during the 2007 session. For the first time in my years of service, the state of Montana found a way to freeze resident tuition for 2 years to help Montanans meet the cost of college, an increasingly necessary expenditure for all who wish to thrive. I should say investment for all who wish to thrive in today's rapidly changing global society. That outcome became possible because of the commitment and determination of the governor, legislator, and regents, supported financially by a favorable economic environment and by the willingness of the faculty and staff to rally behind the effort. We recognize that continuance of the cap will depend on the persistence of political support and favorable economic prospects. The university system enjoys broad public support, as evidenced in the ongoing political campaigns and by the generally positive response to the effort to persuade the voters to support the 6 mil levy, approved every 10 years since 1948 to support the Montana University system. But the economic environment, still quite good relative to the national and international turbulence, has become somewhat less favorable. It appears now that the voting public will approve the 6 mil levy again in November, since doing so does not involve a new tax. However, because of the changing economic conditions, the legislature meeting in January 2009 will probably not have the largesse enjoyed in 2007 to respond to budget requests for the coming biennium. In anticipation of a more constrained state budget within a system expenditure environment fueled by energy and other escalating costs imposed by external drivers, the Board of Regents has alerted the public at large to the possible need for resident and non-resident tuition increases during the 2011 biennium to maintain the responsiveness and quality of the education. Much as we all support the resident tuition freeze because of its obvious benefits and the need for it to promote access, we also know that quality matters. Since at least 1990, the Regents have consistently supported access and quality, refusing to make the counterproductive choice of one over the other. Any sensible person wants access to something worthwhile, always asking access to what? As a society, we can choose from among a variety of ways to assure access, ranging from no or low tuition to adequate financial assistance for those without the means to pay. Decisions taken years ago have drastically modified some of those options. Montana public higher education no longer offers low tuition as the means to assure access, as it once did. In recent years, the governor and regents have emphasized the role of state-funded financial aid to supplement available but still inadequate federal and donated dollars. In my view, we need a smart approach to assure continued access to higher education of high quality in Montana. I want to expand a bit on this point with your indulgence. In a provocative article published in Change magazine, Cliff Edelman challenged the claim of a college access problem in the United States. As he said, our definitions shape what we see. If access refers to the ability to get through the college door shortly after graduation from high school, threshold access in Edelman's definition, then the country does not have anything close to a crisis. He demonstrates that nearly 80% of graduating seniors nationally enter college immediately upon or within a year of high school graduation. Nonetheless, he concedes that we do have an access problem, one he defines as, quote, participation access, unquote. In Edelman's terms, participation access refers to the benefits matriculants actually realize through the learning opportunities afforded by threshold access. As a relevant statistic pertinent to a participation access crisis, he notes that fully 90% of first-time matriculants enroll at some college or university at some time for a second year. However, more than 1/3 of these students enter the second year with less than 20 credits earned, either because of withdrawals or academic failures, and some 3/4 of them do not earn credentials of any kind by age 27. Here, according to Edelman, we find the real crisis in this country. While lack of money to pay for college explains a substantial number of failures to earn certificates or degrees, inadequate academic preparation combined with the resultant poor academic performance during the initial year of college account for the largest portion. Geography also makes a difference in the outcome, as I'll try to explain here. To gain some insight concerning the role of money versus preparation in threshold access, Tom Mortensen recently reviewed the percentage of overall enrollments accounted for by students from families with low incomes in all the states and the District of Columbia. Interestingly, and perhaps counterintuitively, Montana ranked 13th among the 50 states in D.C. in 2006 for the college participation rate of low-income students. It's not a very high percentage, but nevertheless 13th, 29.1% compared to the national average of 23.8%. That relatively high ranking probably indicates that more Montana families have lower family incomes than families in most other states, so we shouldn't take too much pride in it. Ominously, however, Montana also registered one of the largest declines in the low-income participation rate between 1999 and 2006, a loss of more than 12 percentage points. Thus, changing circumstances have taken a heavy toll on the participation of low-income students in Montana and certain other states, while some states, specifically those making investments in their higher education systems, have done better. Given existing and projected economic conditions, it behooves us in Montana to pay close attention to this emergent trend and these outcomes. Edelman's argument concerning the role of inadequate academic preparation and poor first-year academic performance helps us to understand why only 18 out of 100 entering high school freshmen manage to attain certificates or degrees within 10 years, and the majority never do. That's an amazing, astonishing, and discouraging statistic. This abysmal indication of a participation crisis explains why the United States has fallen from world leadership to below 8th in the percentage of young adults having some level of post-secondary attainment, with the trend line clearly pointing toward further decline by the decade of the 20s, barring immediate action. Why did this happen? In large measure because we as a society paid insufficient attention to our future. We neglected to make certain that young people have what they need in terms of preparation and motivation for success in education. We know very well what young people need. Unfortunately, we haven't done what we need to do in order to assure that they're prepared. The state of Montana mirrors the national trend, with the prospects even more dim than for all but 3 of the other states because of the impending 17% to 20% decline in the annual cohort of graduating high school seniors between now and the middle of the next decade. As a society, as a state, we stand on the brink of losing a generation of talent which we can ill afford to lose. In addition, we know with certainty that unless we somehow increase the percentage of the graduating seniors who opt for college, now about 55% to 57%, the Montana University system will experience considerable enrollment and thus budget volatility and inevitable decline during the next decade. After about 2020, the cohort group will rebound and conditions will ease. During the interim, however, I see no indication that Montana policymakers will reconsider the enrollment-driven funding base for public higher education, nor do I know of any evidence suggesting robust enrollments on the colleges of the system without focused action by the regents and the campuses themselves. So what do we do? What can we do that satisfies the criteria for a smart approach to state investments for the future, institutional planning and budgeting, tuition setting, and student financial assistance within this nearly perfect storm of dire trends and projections? In my view, the biennial budget request under consideration by the regents for inclusion in the executive budget proposal satisfies most of the criteria for defining a smart approach. The request straightforwardly starts with a stated preference for continuance of the resident tuition freeze, with general fund appropriations sufficient to cover at least the present law adjustments, a budgeting term, as you know, for inflationary increase required for the delivery of current services. However, the request nonetheless contemplates reasonable tuition increases to maintain quality if required by the pressure on available state funds to satisfy the critical needs in other state services. Assuming continuation of the cap, a system budget adjusted for delivery of current services during the next biennium would require somewhere over $60 million in increased state appropriations, including funds for salary increases. That budget would also require at least a 2% tuition increase for non-residents, since non-residents, as you know, must pay the added incremental cost for the education provided. But a system budget adjusted for current services and some system initiatives will in all likelihood exhaust the state funds realistically available, thus requiring revenue from an additional tuition increase for all students, except perhaps those in the two-year schools, above the 2% already required for non-residents, to finance campus initiatives responsive to the challenges described earlier and to assist those campuses to meet the needs of Montana and its people. The total tuition increase probably ranges in the neighborhood of 3 to 5% for residents and 5 to 7% for non-residents. With that level of increase, this approach would generate a system budget which would accomplish the following objectives on all of the campuses. It would have present law adjustments, those inflationary increases, and a reasonable pay plan for all employees. A pool of funds over and above the pay plan to begin strategically, and begin is the important thing, to address critical salary problems on the campuses during the next 2 years. The regents have identified this as a serious issue and have indicated that they would like to pursue it. Funding remains the issue. 2 pools of funds to address the enrollment challenges of the next few years. In my view, these are critical. 1, a pool of targeted financial aid for the 2-year and 4-year colleges to persuade prospective students to consider initial matriculation on a campus other than the ones in Missoula and Bozeman, without mandating where students go, but with the intent of sustaining steady enrollments on those campuses by incentivizing more of the declining cohort group to attend college. A second pool to support increased doctoral student enrollments in Missoula and Bozeman, in place of the undergraduates who opt to go elsewhere, and to promote economic development in the state. A recent Council of Graduate Schools study reported that an additional 1% of graduate enrollments results in a 0.7% surge in economic activity. For 2 reasons, then, we should be moving in this direction. Funds also to invest in 2-year programs, an understandable priority of the state and the regents in this period of economic restructuring. Funds to invest in the primary health care workforce, specifically additional WWAMI slots for Montana residents to attend medical schools. Funds for the campuses of the 2 universities and the community colleges to implement campus-specific initiatives to maintain and enhance quality, responsiveness, and student success. The initiatives vary by campus recognizing one size does not fit all because of differing campus needs and conditions. And finally, the same kinds of present law adjustments and pay plan for the associated agencies of the institutions. Now, in addition to these base increases, that budget would contemplate a number of one-time only appropriations for special projects that won't require ongoing support. All of them have merit, but I want to mention and emphasize only one today, proposed by Provost Royce Engstrom for the University of Montana to collaborate with a dozen or more willing school districts, the Office of Commissioner of Higher Education, the Office of Public Instruction, and the Governor's Office for a pilot study focused on student course choices in high school, curricular alignment between high schools and colleges, teaching methods, outcomes assessment, admission scores and placements, and student performance during the first year of college. This study, over 2 years, will look closely at a range of factors to identify the most promising predictors of and ways to assure college success. While my description hardly does justice to the project, I trust you can appreciate its significance as we seek to address the challenge of reclaiming educational leadership for the United States and Montana in an increasingly competitive global society. The Regents also submitted a list of priorities for renovation of existing facilities, or have considered, no, they've submitted it, of new buildings that will require some $90 million if all receive funding. While the total sounds high, the Governor has indicated a willingness to consider a bonding program this session, thus allowing the possible inclusion of more projects. But final decisions await the actions of the legislature. The Regents assigned highest priority to deferred maintenance and code compliance problems, and also attended very closely to the energy conservation imperative identified by the Governor in his 20 by 10 initiative. All campuses have high stakes in this initiative, and all have launched responsive efforts to realize the conservation goal. Within the prioritized list of projects, a new and consolidated facility for the College of Technology on the South Campus, leaving only the heavy equipment and diesel programs on the Fort Missoula campus, ranks first of all new facilities. I regard the ranking as timely and certainly deserved. The college has grown programs and enrollments dramatically during the last 10 years to become the largest of the 5 colleges of technology, and thus must have appropriate facilities to continue to serve the very real needs in the Missoula region and across the state. We've also requested, with regental endorsement, at least on the list, some modest state assistance to finish out one of the 5 floors of the new interdisciplinary science building funded by the university and students. The building program proposed by the Regents nicely complements the proposed operational budgets. In my view, this biennial request, under consideration, responds to all the situational factors and trends I discussed earlier. If successful, it has the potential to transform what looms before us as threats into opportunities. And I want now to return to my earlier comment that Marion's theme concerning the University of Montana in 1969 has even more relevance for Montana higher education in the 21st century. As we scan the horizon and identify the threats and opportunities, we do so from a position here in Missoula, much improved by the loyalty and generosity of friends and alumni of the University of Montana, inside and outside of the state, as evidenced by the successful campaign we closed on 31 December 2007. Most people know generally of the campaign, and a good number helped to celebrate victory last May, just prior to commencement. But I want once again to extend our collective appreciation to our friends and alumni who participated in this effort. Some 30,000 people, 13,000 donating for the first time, with alumni accounting for more than half of the donors. As a result, the university has hundreds of additional scholarships for students, undergraduate and graduate, and more endowed chairs and professorships endowed programs, program support, and state-of-the-art facilities to support students and faculty in the future. Because of the $131 million raised directly in response to requests, and another $41 million from private donors and foundations that did not come directly in response to specific campaign requests, the university has 172 million investment reasons to express deep gratitude and profound appreciation. The record outpouring of support positions us well for the 21st century. The timing strikes me as fortuitous, for we have some serious challenges before us. As mentioned earlier, Montana and 3 other states will experience steep declines in the number of graduating high school seniors during the coming years, amounting to some 17 to 20% by the middle of the decade. However, that decline need not result in further erosion in the educational attainment of the adult population of the state. We rank about like the United States in terms of educational attainment. Proactive public policy and renewed effort within the Montana University system can make a difference. For example, raising the college participation rate of graduating seniors from 55 to 68%, the average in developed nations that have surpassed the United States in the educational attainment of their citizens, will help to assure steady enrollments, while stronger campus efforts to enhance retention and graduation rates will, in a short period, raise the percentage of adults with college certificates or degrees or experience. Success in this worthy effort will require more funds for financial assistance directed to potential students who lack the resources to consider college. As mentioned earlier, it makes sense to provide incentives for the declining number of potential students to consider going to a campus other than Missoula and Bozeman, thus allowing those 2 campuses to devote more attention to serving transfer and graduate students. In all likelihood, some aspiring students will go to those other campuses and will choose to transfer later. However, we must also simultaneously assure curricular alignment between high school and college, and a robust outcomes assessment program to evaluate the attainment of identified needed competencies, skills, and understandings to assure that we achieve participation access. Money and academic preparedness together can and will make a difference. Thus, we must extend that focus beyond money. And as Edelman cautioned, academic performance during the initial year of matriculation rivals academic preparedness in high school and money in its effect upon success in college. We must have programs and procedures to enhance student success on all of the campuses if we hope to raise the percentage of entering freshmen who ultimately earn certificates or degrees. The campus initiatives proposed by all but one of the campuses include projects to promote student success. As the lone exception, the University of Montana Missoula will reallocate more than $2 million over the biennium for this purpose. In order to demonstrate the seriousness of the commitment, each campus must set some benchmarks relating to retention and persistence to graduation and report publicly on progress annually during the next few years. So during this coming year, we will establish those benchmarks and begin recording progress for the University of Montana campuses. We must do so whether or not we succeed with the requested budget initiatives, because failure to act threatens our future society. Slowing the loss of talent to other colleges and universities and raising the morale of the current faculty and staff by beginning strategically to address critical salary issues will infuse the campuses with renewed spirit and energy. Recognizing and enhancing lean operating expense budgets, responding to rapidly rising costs for access to books, periodicals, and information in other formats, either physically or electronically, and identifying the real costs of using modern technology to improve the quality and responsiveness of the education we provide will extend the system resources to meet the emerging and lifelong learning needs of Montanans wherever they reside in the state. We've known for some years of the need to develop an information transport system in Montana, allowing the campuses to penetrate every community across the state. With the collaborative Montana Education and Research Network, responsive distance education can become a reality, not just a portal of information for all Montanans. Given the resources, the system campuses can and will respond. Taking the steps to recognize the valuable contributions of doctoral students to the economic development of the state by 1, increasing stipends to competitive levels, and 2, treating graduate students or graduate assistants as employees, and thus residents for tuition purposes, will allow a needed and highly beneficial increase in the number of students enrolled in doctoral programs on the 2 research campuses. Montana currently ranks, as most people don't know, as the 2nd highest producer of doctoral graduates among its regional peers, but has the 2nd lowest enrollment of doctoral students. These data points underscore our efficiency and effectiveness at the doctoral level. With modest funding increments over the next few years, the 2 universities can take advantage of this efficiency and doctoral productivity. In turn, the 2 universities will have the means to increase research activities, thus raising the volume of dollars attracted to the state and the number of good paying jobs stimulated. Of equal importance, of even more importance, I should say, the increased numbers of doctoral students will alter the level of intellectual engagement on the campuses for undergraduate students and the campus community in general, and in Montana society generally. Educating more of these doctoral students will result in more creative and entrepreneurial activity in the state and region as they carry the intellectual property developed on and owned by their campuses, but licensed to the spin-off companies they help to form to introduce the technology or product into the commercial market. And what would this mean if implemented for the Missoula campus? In my view, such a prospect involves a gradual shift in the mix of enrollments between undergraduate and graduate students, and between undergraduates who begin as freshmen and those who transfer. If implemented on a phased schedule, this strategy has the potential to lift the present enrollment of 14,000 students to 15,500 or 16,000 by the middle of the next decade, with virtually all of the growth in graduate and transfer students. The number of entering resident freshman students will decline modestly, with more students coming as sophomores, juniors, seniors, and graduate students after success on other campuses. And graduate enrollments will need to rise to roughly 25 to 30% of the total, accounting for 4,000 to 5,000 students by the middle of the decade. At the same time, the number of doctoral programs will increase gradually as identified need, resources, and potential return on investment indicate. The increase of graduate and transfer students will compensate for any loss of first-time undergraduates resulting from the targeted financial aid programs for other campuses. Clearly, in my view, success in implementing the proposed initiatives promises an apt resolution of the issue that has plagued the Montana University system since its founding in the early 1890s. Policymakers and implementers, as well as scholars, have worried this issue unceasingly over the years. As Michael Malone concluded in his History of Montana, echoing earlier critics and perhaps reinforcing later ones, the original decision to distribute campuses around the state culminated in rampant, seemingly uncontrollable competition, as he said, virtual guerrilla warfare, in an insatiable quest for students and resources that resulted in an underfunded and struggling array of campuses that the state of Montana finds it difficult to support. However, rejecting the counsel of the critics, the policymakers over the years have sustained the distributed approach, emphasizing the value and prudence of responsiveness to local concerns. Success with the proposed initiatives will open a new era in the context of radically different conditions of the 21st century. With the assistance of modern information technology and new delivery media, we can reaffirm and demonstrate the long-term prudence of a decision taken a century ago to balance local and state interests, rendering the past as prologue to the future. Success will also provide an affirmative response to Miriam's query in 1969. Is the University of Montana ready to assume its place as a graduate research university? In my view, the record of achievement during the last few years, combined with a renewed commitment to respond to emerging needs in Montana, warrant a positive response. Echoing Miriam's closing words, the University of Montana, it shall prosper. For 18 years now, I've used this occasion to outline some priorities for the coming year. In the odd-numbered years, we have fewer because of the demands of a legislative session. And for the coming year, we'll have to limit that even more, in contrast to the 36-some priorities I had last year. We'll have to limit more because of some deadlines that are looming before us and will constrain us even more. And the critical importance of reaching an agreement with the stakeholders about the strategic direction of the Montana university system during the decade will necessitate that we concentrate on that challenge before launching very many new ones. But these we must attend to during the year. First of all, we have to continue to deliver the courses and programs at the level of quality that will satisfy the students who accept our invitation to enroll, whether on or off campus, using the delivery medium appropriate to the identified needs. Success also includes full implementation of the transfer policies adopted more than a year ago by the regents. We will have those fully implemented this fall. Over the coming year, we have to implement the plan for student success developed by the provost and the vice president for student affairs, which includes advising, retention, and recruitment programs with appropriate benchmarks to demonstrate progress toward goals, and looks toward assuring a successful initial year for entering freshmen and for sophomores as well. From September through early November, we'll have to participate actively in the educational process to assure that the public has the necessary information, not only to consider, but to approve the 6 mil levy. That's a critically important investment. Over the coming months, we have to interact as frequently and extensively as possible with members of the Schweitzer administration and the legislature to provide information about and advocacy for the system budget request and any other special higher education initiatives. We'll need to develop and secure endorsement by the regents of a revised approach to undergraduate admissions on the Missoula campus, involving strategic enrollment management to assure enrollment goals associated with increased transfer and graduate student numbers. We need to complete and implement the redesign of the homepage because it is becoming increasingly important, not only to prospective students, but to other clientele within the larger community. By May 2009, we have to complete the time-sensitive fundraising projects remaining from the successful campaign that ended on 31 December 2007. There are only about 2 of those left to complete. By May 2009, complete all but the final draft of the self-study for the accreditation visit by the Northwest Commission on Colleges and Universities scheduled for spring 2010. Every 10 years they come. By May 2009, complete the academic strategic planning process and present a plan for consideration, approval, and implementation. By May 2009, complete the process for the formal approval and establishment of the Hamilton Higher Education Center. During the coming year, complete the electronic transcript project, which is a prelude to the other project I mentioned earlier on alignment. And this transcript project works in collaboration with the Office of Commissioner of Higher Education, the Office of Public Instruction, the Governor's Office, selected campuses, and selected high school districts. So we begin the process of interaction there. During the coming year, initiate a collaborative project involving the University of Montana, Montana State University, the Office of the Commissioner of Higher Education, the Superintendent of Public Instruction, the Governor's Office, and selected other stakeholders to increase the number of science and math teachers in the state, a critical need. And finally, maintain and expand the campus sustainability program to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases, complete with appropriate academic programming, and assure its alignment with the Governor's 20 by 10 energy use initiative. In many respects, 2008-9 shapes up as a year of significant change, challenge, and opportunity for the Montana University system and the University of Montana. Much hangs in the balance: 6 mill levy, the legislative session, and the energy and resources devoted to the identified priorities during the coming year. The longer outlook will become clear as we learn incrementally what we've achieved during the year. As I view current trends and likely developments, I find myself in agreement with Miriam's 1969 statement that the prospects appear bright and certainly encouraging. The University of Montana benefits from a talented, world-class, and dedicated faculty, continues to attract more outstanding students every year, manages, despite financial disincentives, to retain a committed and highly capable staff, and views itself as the research university Miriam envisioned in 1969. As an engaged participant, I have experienced and at times marveled at the maturational drama since August 1990. Very much honored and gratified by my relatively minor part in it. I do not make this comment with false modesty. Presidents and students come and go, but faculty and staff remain. I pledge, however, to do all I can to contribute, and in doing so, I look forward to working with you and all of the newcomers as we address the challenges before us. Before I close, I take a good deal of pride in introducing our new 90-second Lifestyles video designed to inform the public about the university, the opportunities available to students, and the environment. It's already begun to appear on television screens about the state and the country, and I hope you'll join me now and we'll observe that, and then we'll close.
Missoula, Montana. Longtime destination for trailblazers and pioneers. Often described in the novels of Ernest Hemingway and Norman Maclean's A River Runs Through It. A playground of mountains and rivers, with a thriving community of arts and culture, and home to the University of Montana. World-class faculty and students making a difference in a broader world. A campus that was designed to launch great minds. We have challenged our students to reflect, to inspire, and to achieve. They have. This is where dreams begin and lifelong friends are made. And home to the Montana Grizzlies. Life experience that shapes our future. Inspiration and spirit that is infectious and changes us forever. Higher education, global impact. The University of Montana.
President Dennison, thank you for your thorough overview of the landscape that surrounds us in terms of higher education. Thanks for the challenges you set before us, although I can see it's going to be an extremely busy year. And thanks for your leadership as the University of Montana meets its mission to the state of Montana and to this country. It's been great having all of you with us today. Thank you for coming this morning, and I'll see the new faculty at the 1 o'clock orientation session in Gallagher Business School building. I'd like to just once again acknowledge the work of our signers. Thank you so much. And for everyone for coming. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful academic year.